Welcome back, guys. I'll just give you a couple of moments for a couple of latecomers to arrive, and I will just finish doing a few finalized pieces. But I hope everyone's been doing well this week, and that their games have gone well if they've had any. So, what have we been up to this week in the campaign? That's the question. So, what did we do? Let's get the marker. So, last week we had basically a turn of maneuver. And we had the Union troops on the Western Theatre withdrawing up, with General Johnson in hot pursuit. In the centre, we had the Union forces stationing themselves and digging in around Strasbourg, whilst the Confederates started to consolidate in the centre. Over in the north, we had some Union troops who were guarding the crossing here to Front Royal, and they withdrew up to Winchester. And then over the last turn and two, we had some reinforcing detachments who made their way down from Hagerstown towards Harper's Ferry. This unit here is Confederate reinforcing detachments that had come up from Staunton. This main force here is General Jackson, General Ewell, and General Garnett and their forces. So that's kind of the big Confederate army, followed by Johnson, and then they're just reinforcing units. For the Union, this is their big army. Those two are quite small now. Hey, Luke, how are you doing? Glad to have you with us. How's everything going in the UK? But yeah, that was about it for last turn. It was just a turn of maneuver. So not a huge amount happened, but it was still quite interesting. That's the thing about these sort of campaigns is they're not necessarily always battle after battle after battle. There is the maneuver, there is the logistics, and for me, that's also quite an interesting part of it. Glad to hear. So unless any of you guys have any questions about last turn, or have any thoughts just in general, we can make a start on this turn. But yeah, I'll just give you a couple of seconds to think about that. Whilst I just quickly grab this to get ready for the options for this turn. So just bear with me 1 second. Where are we? Okay. All right. I think we're there. Cool. So if we make a start, this week is turn 7 of the overall campaign. Hey, David, how are you doing? On the train to the Wargame? Oh, cool. That would be awesome. Yeah, so this is turn 7, and historically this would be the dates of the 4th to the 10th of May. So we are over halfway now, which is quite interesting. So the first up, we're going to roll for initiative. Again, we've got red dice for the Confederates and blue for the Union. And it's a draw because Jackson gets his +1 because of the map. So we'll re-roll. And same again, we'll re-roll. And there we go. Confederates have got the initiative this time. Okay, so we've got Confederate initiative. Well, can't spell say initiative. There we go. Cool. Let's check what the weather is going to do today. So it is now May. So roll our dice, and we have got a 13. We've got light rain again. Huh. Cool. Seems to have been a very rainy period this campaign, but light rain it is. So light rain. So that'll just have a few minor effects in the battle, but it won't affect the movement on the strategic level this turn because we've had a couple of turns of clear weather. Light rain just reduces movement on the battlefields, if there are any this turn, by 2 centimeters per base. So just a small effect. Kind of helps, I guess, the defender because it gives you an extra turn probably to shoot them as they come on. So light rain it is. Next up, what do we have? We've got historical events, and we have nothing this turn. So we've got to wait till next turn for historical. I guess our historical events have kind of split the path, as we were saying last time, that the reinforcements are coming on. We've got General McDowell, who will be coming in this turn. And then we also had from Washington additional reinforcements sent over. So history and us have kind of split paths, but that's all right. Now we move on to our Union random events. And we need our D20. Let's see what happens for them. They've got a 19. Pickets. If the enemy attacks, he has to deploy first, and you can move any 2 of his units up to 10 centimeters in any direction. So that's quite a benefit for the Union. 19 pickets. Cool. So if there's a defensive battle, the Union are definitely going to have a benefit this turn. That's cool. On to the Confederates. They've got a 2. Thick fog. Fog again. Okay. So Confederates have got thick fog. That's going to affect everyone. So it's going to be 6 centimeters vision for shooting. Artillery can attempt to fire further, but they have to roll to see whether they hit the target. It won't just be a guarantee one. More chance of them missing. So, okay. Thick fog. Okay, interesting. Now, after last turn, where I couldn't remember for the life of me what reinforcing detachments each side had, I have written it all down somewhere. Or have I? Turn 7. There we go. Union detachments available. They've currently got 1 artillery piece and 1 cavalry available. And the Confederates have 1 artillery and 2 cavalry. So, go and lie down. Morty, go away. Sorry. Morty, go on. Go and lie down. Oh, we got the adjutants in again. Interrupting. Go on, go up, chair. Go and lie down. Good boy. Cool. So yes, as I said, the Union have now got 2 detachments available. 1 is artillery and 1 is cavalry. And the Confederates have 1 artillery and 2 cavalry. So I'll leave that to you guys now to have a think about which you want and where you want them to come in. So for the Union, Manassas Gap will be having General McDowell come in, but as a supply depot, it got destroyed when the Unions got there. So you can't have your detachments come from there. So you're either going to get them from Cumberland or Hagerstown. And for the Confederates, you can have them come at Charlottesville or Staunton. So yeah, have a think about that and then just post what you want to do. And I'm thinking just off of my head for the Union, possibly cavalry over here to come down quickly to join this force because they are very under strength. There's a lot of troops over here now, but they're pretty under strength. So some cavalry to come and try and bolster them might not go amiss. I mean, we could put artillery there and try and send that down, but that's going to take a lot longer to arrive, and who knows what's going to happen in the meantime. So that would be my suggestion for the Union. And as for the Confederates, I would say probably cavalry as well from Charlottesville to head up to try and just tease this flank when McDowell comes in. Plus, then they'll be available to shoot across. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And then we can put them on the table in a second. Bringer con cavalry. Agreed. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Confederate cavalry. So that's what I'm thinking. Luke, have you got any thoughts on what you would want? Artillery, cavalry, and where you think? Moving on, whilst you guys just have a think about that. Yeah, as I said, we've got General McDowell, who's arrived at Manassas Gap. And he is... Did I write down what he's bringing with him? No, I didn't. Okay, I'll have to look in a second. But we've got General McDowell, and sounds good for the Confederates. Okay, cool. So we'll bring on Confederate cavalry at Charlottesville and bring them up to reconnoiter and tease the enemy down here. And then over here, we've got some more troops. I'm sure I wrote it down, what was coming on there. Very peculiar. Maybe I did it online instead of in my book. But anyway, but we got reinforcements for the Union who've come on there. I'm pretty sure that was 2 infantry and an artillery, and I'm pretty sure that one is actually in this book. Let's have a look. Here we go. Yes, Union. McDowell, Manassas Gap, he's got 2 infantry and 1 artillery, and there'll be 2 infantry and 1 artillery up at Hagerstown. So 2 nice forces for the Union. And seeing as no one has mentioned anything for the Union, I will make the decision that we're going to put on a cavalry unit at Cumberland, and then we'll get them to start making their way down. And we've gone for, whoops, wrong one, Confederate Cavalry, and they'll make their way up. So that's good. Cool. So we've got Union Cav and Confederate Cav, and that's Cumberland and Charlottesville. Cool. Yeah, I was being blind. I had written it down. I'd written it down right here. So yeah, Union reinforcements, McDowell, 2 infantry and 1 artillery, and then at Hagerstown, 2 infantry and 1 artillery. So yes, too much for me to try and remember. So I write it down and then forget where I've written it down. Anyway, so let's have a look at what the options were for this turn and what the outcomes were. Bear with me whilst I try and find them. Okay, community. Let's have a look. Okay, rebels. What do we get? With 46% of the vote, option 1 sees General Jackson and General Ewell await reinforcements and then march north. General Garnett is sent west down this route to try and trap the Union forces in the west, and General Johnson continues his advance to try and catch up with them. Okay. And for the Union side, with 45%, they've gone for option 2, which is the same as option 1. So option 1 sees a general advance with pretty well everyone moving in some manner. General Shields holds Strasbourg, and our forces in the west withdraw to Mooresfield. Option 2, however, we dispatch our troops from Winchester to march to the west to boost those numbers. Okay, interesting. So how does that actually play out on the map is the question. So Confederates have got the initiative. Confederate commanders out there, are we going to use a attempt to forced march with the Confederates? That'll gain them an extra move, like an extra bound. However, if we get a bad roll, it may not go off, which is not a problem, or it may cost them additional losses where men drop out on the march. So it's a bit of a risk, but it could gain the extra movement that we need to engage, probably at Strasbourg and probably at Moorefield. So let me know what you think there. Plus, that'll also take into effect here whether we do catch them. As for the Union, we've got the plan based off of this map. We've got General McDowell who'll be heading to Front Royal. We've got these chaps marching across country. These will be crossing over, and yeah, they'll just be crossing over and making their way down towards Winchester, and they'll be holding their position. So again, should the Union be force marching, or should they just be taking a steady advance to try and get everyone together in one piece? I'll give you all guys a couple of moments just to have a think about that. I mean, I would say, again, my thoughts for the Confederates, at least, it would be worth attempting to force march Jackson's force and Johnson's force. Yeah, I mean, their regular move is going to be 2. If they get the force march off, they'll give them 3 so they can get to Strasbourg. And likewise there, 1, 2, they'll catch them. But if they have withdrawn, which they will start moving, we would need the force march to be able to catch them at Moorefield. Go aggressive with force marches. Yep, I think that's the way. The only issue that there could be is that if Jackson's force was wanting these reinforcements to be with him, even if we force march them, 1, 2, they will only get to Woodstock. So we won't have a combined Confederate force to go in. It will just be Jackson and Ewell going in, which is a good veteran army, but it will be less men than the defenders. So again, do you want them to go in first, or should they stop short, wait for the reinforcements, and then next turn go in? Again, I'll leave that for you to think about. But over here, yep, okay, we'll go for it. Let's have a look. Where's our movement? Movement. Okay, where's the force marches? Okay, Confederate armies with failure to march on 1 to 2. Where's my D10? There we go. Okay, so for the Confederates, let's roll. For Johnson's force, he's rolled a 6 and a 6. So they will take D4 cohesion loss. They take 4 loss. Okay, so let's just write this down just so we know for later. Johnson, forced march, takes 4 loss to the army, which isn't too bad. That'll be like 1 per regiment, so it's not actually that bad at all. So that's going to give him his extra bound, which will be, so he'll kind of do 1, 2. Union will be doing their 1 move to there, and then he will catch them with his additional. So there will be a battle there. So we're going to have Johnson at Moorfield. Cool. Let's try now. Force on Moorfield, but so there's a heart only force. Yeah, cool. So with Jackson, he'll just do a regular move in that case, which will just be his 2, and we'll attempt to get them to force march up. 3, 3 to 6 again. Okay, so they do it. So they will get 1, 2, 3, but they too will take a bit of cohesion loss, and they will take 3. Okay, so Jackson 3 loss, force march. Cool. Now we've got Jackson going ahead. We've also got General Garnett there and his force. I think we might as well force march him across anyway. What's the worst that could happen? We lose 4. So let's see how far. Ooh, okay, he rolled a 10, which means they force march and they have no losses. So that's good. So they're going to go 1, 2, 3 and get to the crossroads. So that's very good for them. As for the Union, actually, we've still got this guy. So he'll be able to do, because he's just cavalry. 1, 2, probably up to there would be good, just in case the Union were to try and do a flanking maneuver. Cool. Now for the Union, as per their playbook, they were moving McDowell across the front row, and we were going to move these chaps across country as well. Just want to march to the west to boost the numbers of that army. So again, I think probably the Union needs to do a force march with this group to try and get across. I mean, granted, they are now blocking that road, but I think they've got to attempt it at least. So let's give them a try. And he's rolled a 1, which means they cannot force march. So they're just going to do 2. So that'll get them to there, which is still quite good because all of these 3 armies are now mutually supporting each other. These guys, they're going to be just crossing over. That's a ferry crossing, so they can't speed march across there. So they're literally just going to cross the river. That's a ferry crossing, and that's a ferry crossing. So they're across, but nothing too major. However, over here, we've got a rail line, so they'll be able to take the rail to there and then get to there. So I think that's pretty good, unless anyone disagrees with my movements there. But I think overall that's pretty reasonable. So, yeah, that leaves us with 1 battle to be fought with those troops there. So who or what is involved? Okay, so at What was that town that they were at? Petersburg. Okay, so Petersburg is General Schneck. He's got 3 infantry regiments and 1 cavalry, and he is going to be fighting against Johnson, who again has 3 infantry, 1 artillery, and 1 cavalry. However, Johnson's infantry are all over twice the strength, as is his cavalry, so his force is quite considerably larger. So it'll be an interesting battle. Good, they are near me enough to be called. Good, yeah. So, yeah, depending on what happens there, if they get annihilated this turn, they can march across or do whatever they need to do. That cavalry could come across. There's quite a few options at this stage, so that's good. So that'll be an interesting battle. Cool. Jackson is getting ready for next turn. Although now we're going to have these guys here, so that will be quite interesting to see what happens. Cool. Is there anything else that we need to do this turn? Logistics? No, that'll be done after the battles. Army cohesion, unit experience. Nope. So that's our turns. Just for a quick chat, we had the Confederates gain the initiative. The weather is light rain, and so the Confederates have pushed up their cavalry detachment just to this crossroads. The central forces have consolidated here in the center, whilst General Gunn has gone around to cut the supply lines for the Union forces here, and if possible, next turn can fall on them if needed. General Johnson has come up and he has caught and is engaging the Union forces at Moorfield. For the Union, they've come across with General McDowell to Front Royal. All of their reinforcements now are marching across the river. They've just got to the other side, so next turn they'll be able to make some good progress. We had a couple of infantry units from Winchester who were being marched to try and relieve the Union in the west, and we sent our cavalry down to try and relieve them. Foggy battle at Moorfield then? Yes. Yeah, it should be an interesting one. I mean, last time when we had that fog and that Union army, where was it? Was it Harrisonburg or Newmarket, one of those two, and just got completely annihilated by Confederate cavalry. They just rode them straight down. That was quite terrible, at least for me, because I was playing as the Union and got destroyed. And I don't like to lose. But no, I think this will be a good, interesting one, because that's going to be quite a good defensive position, really. And you got the river on one flank, you got mountains, so should be quite a good defensive spot, even though they are quite heavily outnumbered. Yeah, but yeah, they can't exactly withdraw this way. They could try and attempt to withdraw down there, but I think if they have to withdraw, if they can withdraw, it'll be head north and get up to that cavalry, and then they might be able to do some sort of withdrawing action over here. And if that happens, then you've got General Johnson who could come and smash Cumberland and destroy another depot and possibly march around towards Hagerstown. So lots and lots of options. Very interesting. But yeah, I think that pretty well rounds up this week, unless you've got any additional thoughts, suggestions, or anything you want to share. But yeah, it'll definitely be fun to have another battle this week with the American Civil War. Last week we were playing Crossfire, although it's been quite heavily modified just because we're using 6mm and decided to get more tanks and bits and pieces in. So that was fun. It's probably actually one of the most fun games that we've played in a long time. We were thinking if we had like what do they call them? Those clocks when you're playing chess, and you hit it and you got like 10 seconds to make your move. If you did that, that would be very interesting. But anyway, I'll do a video on that one shortly, just so you can see what we were up to. But anyway, this weekend it's going to be American Civil War. So thank you all for joining in. I'll put on some Billy Idol. Yeah, sounds good. But yeah, thank you again for joining in, and yeah, be interesting to see how this one turns out. So till next time, guys, take it easy, and yeah, I'll see you then. Thanks, and have a good weekend. Thanks, guys.